Good morning, my name is Josh from CyclonesOZ, and here is your detailed forecast update for Tuesday, April 29th, 2025. A lot to get through today. Showers and storms are going to be widespread across North Queensland throughout this weekend. It's going to be a wet start to May up there, so let's dive straight into the details about that right now. You can already see tropical low 30U, which is still somehow kicking north of the Northern Territory this morning, is dragging in a bit of moisture from the Coral Sea, and whilst this isn't a precursor of what's still to come, we're expecting the rainfall to occur up in far North Queensland in a pretty similar fashion. Let's jump straight into the forecast right now. Whilst it is a very pleasant couple of days expected up in far North Queensland, sunny, fine, calm, everything looks good up there at this point in time. There is some good rainfall expected for the Cassowary Coast, and especially up into the Daintree rainforest into the first week of May. So let's crack into that right now. So like I said, conditions looking extremely pleasant up in far North Queensland right now. Probably the best weather they've had in about 6 months, and that's expected to continue to occur throughout the remainder of today, tomorrow, and into Thursday as well. A couple of showers will pipe up through Thursday afternoon and evening. Temperatures will also drop a little bit through Thursday evening as well, but it's going to be on Friday when the real rainfall begins to pipe up. Moderate falls expected through Friday morning, then moderate to heavy falls developing around the Cassowary Coast through Friday evening and into early Saturday morning, and then moderate falls expected to extend up into the Daintree rainforest from Friday night into Saturday morning and easing off Saturday evening. A couple of good drops of rainfall expected through Saturday as well, and then into Sunday morning, and rainfall expected to ease off through Sunday and into Monday before the rainfall returns for the second week of May out to the 7th and the 8th, Wednesday and Thursday, where some more heavy rainfall is expected. And this is a relatively new addition to the forecast, so I do have quite a little bit to say about this weather forecast, and I'll get to that in just a minute or two. But there is certainly some rainfall on the cards for the second week of May as well, and then, like we've been saying for the last week or so, rainfall dropping off by around the 9th or the 10th of May. A couple of showers still expected here and there, but I reckon from about the 10th of May, finally the dry season will begin to kick in for far North Queensland, and the rainfall will pretty much completely ease out for those locations. And just before I get to the revised forecast for far North Queensland, there is going to be a few showers moving through into the Whitsundays as well, and even Townsville could get a couple of drops of rainfall through Friday afternoon, and then through Saturday morning and Saturday afternoon, especially Saturday afternoon into Sunday morning, some showers and heavy rainfall expected along the central Queensland coastline. This is going to be a place to watch, that's for sure, for the rainfall here. You can see between major forecast models, whilst there are a few discrepancies at this point in time, we're likely to see a low pressure system whip up some rainfall and some significant storms here and there along the central Queensland coastline. So north of the Sunshine Coast for places especially around Agnes Water, Gladstone, Rockhampton, Yeppoon, and then up towards the Whitsundays and Mackay, and even inland out towards Dingo, Emerald, Rolleston and Claremont, the locations we haven't talked about in weather forecast for a while. Through Saturday night and into Sunday morning, there could be some showers out there. This might be a take it as it comes type rainfall thing. I wouldn't be expecting anything right now. I'm going to wait until tomorrow morning's forecast update to really comment on what rainfall we're expecting here, but all in all it does look like a relatively wet weekend for North and far North Queensland. So the revised forecast up in far North Queensland, the rainfall accumulations aren't as extreme as what we were talking about in the last couple of days. However, initially speaking at least, Friday we could be seeing those heavy downpours coming through for the Cassowary Coast. The Daintree rainforest no longer expecting anything too significant at this point in time. Rainfall, like I said, will pipe up again Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday, the 6th to the 8th of May, and I do reckon that that's also going to be a feature that's here to stay on the forecast models. Between major forecast models, the GFS also calling for some relatively heavy rainfall, and whilst the bulk of it does remain offshore in the GFS forecast, there is still going to be some heavy rainfall at some point moving into far North Queensland. So expect this as kind of a dual stage rainfall event, which is very common up in far North Queensland. When we're talking about a week of wet weather, we generally have a couple of days of wet weather followed by a couple of days of dry weather followed by a couple of days of wet weather, and that's exactly what we're seeing once again. It's very cyclical in nature, some of the rainfall up in far North Queensland. So expecting that rainfall to pipe up on us Friday night, we could be seeing triple figure rainfall accumulations along the Cassowary Coast up into the Yarrabah Peninsula. Cairns itself not expecting too much in the way of good rainfall, and then accumulations adding on through Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday into the second week of May. We'll be looking at rainfall accumulations there approaching 400 millimetres for some locations throughout the start of May. Some good rainfall accumulations, that's for sure. Very welcome stuff as well. I'm hearing a lot of reports of the ground starting to dry out up in far North Queensland, especially into the Daintree rainforest and out around Mount Carbine. The ground is definitely starting to dry out there, and the rainfall around the Cassowary Coast as well would be very welcome, I could imagine, even for this time of the year. Rainfall accumulations down into flood impacted areas such as the Cardwell Gap, Ingham and Halifax are not expected to be too high, triple figures at the most, with the majority of that rainfall coming through on Friday night into Saturday morning, and then rainfall accumulations down around the Townsville area on the weekend expected to be into the low single digits, nothing more than a couple of dozen millimetres expected there. Rainfall Rainfall accumulations into the Whitsundays and around Mackay could be as high as 60 or 70 millimetres, with higher accumulations possibly approaching 100 millimetres outside of Yeppoon, Rockhampton and Gladstone as well. Rainfall accumulations could be as high as 50 or 60 millimetres as well further inland out towards Claremont, Emerald and Dingo. Again, this little area here could be a bit of a wild card with convergent zones and rainfall activity, so this is going to be a place that I'm going to watch very closely over the next couple of days. There'll be plenty more information on the Facebook page, but just know that the rainfall in this part of Queensland here is not set in stone at this point in time, and I know a lot of people get very excited for this type of rainfall to come through for these locations, but do not bet the farm on it at this point in time. It's still quite uncertain, and a few major discrepancies between the forecast models still exist, and there are still some uncertainties out there that need to be ironed out over the next couple of days. Be interesting stuff for Queensland, that's for sure. It was always going to be a wet start to May. We've known that for the last couple of months onto the long-range forecast. I don't think it's actually going to be as wet as what we were initially estimating. North Queensland, no stranger to heavy rainfall throughout the initial parts of May as well. They can see some of their heaviest rainfall at any point in the year into the early parts of May, but just take a look at the picture around Queensland right now. It is beautiful, apart from a couple of cloud activity into the southwestern corner of Queensland and a bit of tropical cloud moving into the far northern reaches of Queensland. It is dry and sunny across a large swathe of the state, and it's going to warm up to a pretty pleasant day as well. We're already seeing temperatures approaching in the 20s and even to the mid-20s along the coastline, especially as you get further north. Temperatures down to about 22 degrees around the Gold Coast area as well, so it's going to be a beautiful day in Queensland. And I thought I might just mention this because this is probably the best weather that we've seen over in Queensland, holistically speaking, over the last couple of months. So very good news indeed, and get out there, enjoy the sunshine, enjoy the nice weather while it lasts, because it's likely to break again with a bit of rainfall coming through this weekend. Let's talk tropics now, with a tropical low up north of the Northern Territory. This is tropical low 30U, and if you haven't been watching the channel videos for the last 2 weeks, you wouldn't know that this system exists, because it is a very weak system, that's for sure. But this system here has been kicking around for a long time. I think it was designated on April 8th, and it's likely to last into the first couple of days of May. This system here is still a weak low pressure system situated offshore from Cape Wessel, but it's expected to move over towards Melville and Bathurst Islands throughout the remainder of today, and then into the Timor Sea tonight and into tomorrow morning, and then moving over Timor and across towards Indonesia through tomorrow night and into the 1st of May, where it is expected to disintegrate somewhere over in Indonesia through the 1st of May, or even out towards the 2nd of May. So certainly a very long-lived and long-track system. It's not uncommon that we see long-lived storms around the Australian region. In fact, the Australian region sometimes is one of the most favourable places for long-track systems to exist, but it's highly unusual to see a system kick around for let alone 2 weeks, but 1 week up in the Gulf of Carpentaria or the Timor Sea. It's highly unusual that does happen. Unfortunately, with the moving away of this system, the rainfall is also going to move away from the Northern Territory, the much needed rainfall that they're getting there right now. A couple of showers and storms expected around Darwin tonight, but in terms of rainfall beyond that, there's nothing on the forecast, and I imagine that is going to remain the case for the foreseeable future at this point in time. Showers and thunderstorms will still fire up here and there, but you can see rainfall accumulations for the first 2 weeks of May now on the forecast modelling are expected to be negligible into the Darwin area. There's really nothing to be talking about much later on into the forecast period as well. Rainfall now really dropping off for the Northern Territory and Western Australia as well. It was almost as quick as the wet season fired up, it has dropped off for the Northern Territory, and they've been left pretty much empty-handed, and with their waterways very much empty-handed, legitimately speaking as well. The rainfall there has been very disappointing this wet season, which has been quite unfortunate to see. And with this transition period, we're going to have to be talking about winter weather a lot more frequently. We've got some for the southwest corner of Western Australia, what I'd like to call a winter opener front. Generally speaking, we get 1 or 2 series of cold fronts coming through into the southwest of Western Australia that are relatively strong, comparatively speaking, especially to the weather that we've seen over the last couple of months. And this is what we've got coming through this weekend. Certainly a strong one coming through on Friday by the looks of things. Not likely to be a severe cold front, but there will be some embedded thunderstorms and showers. And sweeping up from the south, there could be some heavier falls into early Saturday morning around the Perth metro area. We could be waking up to 25 millimetres or so in some of the gauges along the south coast, and about 20 millimetres or so into the Perth metro area. There certainly could be some moderate falls around the Perth metro area into early Saturday morning, likely to leave some big puddles around here and there. Showers will continue through late Saturday morning and into very early Saturday afternoon before they ease off. Temperatures expected to be cold with those winds coming out of the south west, expected to be very icy indeed through Saturday and into Sunday. It'll probably be some of the coldest feels-like temperatures through Saturday night and into Sunday morning that we've seen over the last couple of months into the Perth metro area. It's going to be very, very cold indeed. And showers will continue through through early Sunday morning along the south coast. We're expecting a couple of showers to fire up into the Perth metro area as well through Sunday night and into early Monday morning. And generally speaking, just a few showers expected into the first couple of days of the next week of May. So Monday and Tuesday the 5th and the 6th, a couple of showers expected into the Perth metro area, and a few showers pretty much spread out evenly across the southwest Capes. All in all, about 25 millimetres is expected, with the highest accumulations up around that 40 millimetres possible along the southwest coast between Margaret River across to Albany and Denmark. Significant rainfall accumulations are not expected from this event here, and then high pressure is expected to dominate the scene in the Great Australian Bight, with a building ridge through Tuesday and Wednesday likely to bring some very cold nights and some cold temperatures to the southeastern parts of WA, and that's going to keep things high and dry across the southwest corner of Western Australia throughout the next week of May and throughout the foreseeable future as well. There will be cold front activity as we get towards mid-May and of course out towards late May, when we're expecting some strong cold front activity around that time. But at this point in time, it does look like that high pressure ridge is going to keep the second week of May and even out towards the third week of May as well pretty dry across the southwest of Western Australia. Rainfall accumulations though over the next 2 weeks not looking bad, that's for sure. If I can somehow figure out how to get this to work, you can see 14-day rainfall accumulations, the greens indicating more than 25 millimetres of rainfall, with blues anything more than a couple of millimetres of rainfall expected right out into pretty much every corner of the wheat belt. So some rainfall is expected all out through those locations. Unfortunately, the rainfall isn't as good as what we were talking about over the last couple of days, which is a little bit of an unfortunate thing. Again, that's kind of what we expect at this time of the year, though. Rainfall is expected to be above average, especially across the northern wheat belt into early June and mid-June as well, so that's something to be looking forward to up there. They've been running away with some very high accumulations over the last couple of years into the northern parts of the wheat belt, and it looks like 2025 is going to be no different at this point in time, at least on what the long-range forecast models are suggesting. The rainfall is very welcome in Western Australia, but we could not do with it more in South Australia and into Western Victoria as well. They're in some drought like they've never seen before, especially at this time of the year when we're expecting the rainfall to begin to pipe itself up again across South Australia, Victoria and into Tasmania. Unfortunately, there's just nothing to be talking about down there. The west coast of Tasmania, of course, one of the wettest locations in the nation at this time of the year, and they are running away with some pretty high accumulations as well, but you can see 14-day rainfall accumulations on the forecast, negligible across the western half of Victoria and into South Australia. In terms of the drought conditions, they're extreme drought conditions now extending across much of Victoria, and they're only expected to get worse as we get out towards the second and into the third week of May as well. There's no good rainfall in the forecast. Southeastern parts of South Australia as well looking very dry down there as well. So again, the rainfall they're desperately needing the rainfall down in these parts of Victoria and South Australia, and even in towards New South Wales as well. The rainfall cannot come soon enough, and unfortunately there just hasn't been anything decent on the long range forecasts, and there's nothing that's expected to come through in the next couple of weeks either, which is quite sad to see, because they do desperately need the rainfall at this point in time if they are to have that bumper farming season that we do desperately need for those locations down in this part of Australia. Unfortunately, the rainfall has decided to go and call soggy New South Wales its home, and you can see 14-day rainfall accumulations looking very healthy once again along the New South Wales coastline. This is just going to be showers coming through from the Tasman Sea, so it'll take me about 10 minutes to really dive into all of the details here. So if you live north of Newcastle and you're on the coast, expect triple figure rainfall accumulations after Thursday for the first 2 weeks of May. I'm expecting some higher accumulations around Coffs Harbour, Grafton and up towards Lismore, especially for those locations on the coast or just inland. Some accumulations up around that 200 millimetres is definitely possible, and they could even be a little bit higher than that. But at this point in time, don't get your hopes up for anything too crazy in terms of rainfall. If you do live south of Sydney, especially south of Newcastle, actually the rainfall isn't expected to be too extreme down there. There will be a couple of good showers coming through tomorrow night and into early Thursday morning, especially along the central New South Wales coastline and into the mid-north coast. Rainfall accumulations could be a little bit higher than usual, around that 50 to 60 millimetre mark through Thursday morning into Thursday afternoon. The rainfall should ease off and contract to the north through Friday, but then after that it's just a constant stream of showers coming through for the foreseeable future on the forecast modelling here, with rainfall increasing again into the second week of May. Long range forecast is suggesting that New South Wales is going to remain with above average rainfall, especially along the coastline and especially up in the north as we head through the winter months. And then the long range forecast, which I had a good look at yesterday, is also suggesting above average rainfall as we get in towards August, September and October as well. So again, that generally speaking to me would mean more thunderstorm activity, more heavy rainfall activity, which is probably not the best news in the world, but again, we will wait and see what happens for New South Wales and Queensland at this point in time. Keeping things short and sweet with today's forecast update. There's not an awful lot to be talking about, nothing out of the ordinary either. Rainfall is all expected for these locations at this time of the year, so again, there's no need to be panicking or fretting at this point in time. The rainfall is doing exactly what it is meant to be doing for this point in time. But that is all that I have time for in today's forecast update. If you have enjoyed the video, then please consider leaving a like and also subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. A special shout out, of course, to the channel sponsors. Their names are on screen right now, and I could not run this show without them, so again, their support is much appreciated as well. But that is all from me today, and I'll catch you all in the next storm. Goodbye.